Culture, as discussed by Phillips 2010, is the shared meanings transmitted over generations and is an ambiguous and continuous process of change. In addition, globalization defined by Crane in 2011 is the increasing interconnectedness and interdependence of social, cultural, and economic phenomena across national borders. Thus, cultural globalization can be understood as the complex and diverse phenomena in which the flows of national cultures cross transnational boundaries. These flows consist of shared ideologies, ethnicities, language, and customs that are transmitted through globalizing processes. Through this phenomenon arrives the concept of identity. It essentially concerns how we perceive ourselves and who we are in comparison to those around us. As discussed in Oyajeli and Hayden 2006, identity is a concept deployed by social scientists to understand the connection between our subjective experiences and the cultural, historical, and social context within which we are situated. These contexts are both derived from and created by the globalizing processes that impact our life experiences. The various networks in which our contemporary society operates originate from cultural globalization. As individuals within these networks, we all unknowingly function as both products and agents of cultural globalization. As products, we acknowledge the influence of globalizing processes in shaping our identities as global cultural citizens, and as agents, we are able to contribute to the spread of this cultural phenomenon around the world. My role as both a product and agent of culture began with the globalizing process of migration, specifically the migration of my mum's family from Lebanon to Australia in the 1970s. Like many Australian Lebanese migrants, my Jiddo and Tata migrated to Australia through a working visa in search of a better life for their 5 children. Despite my dad being Australian and my mum being Lebanese, the effects of cultural globalization through the processes of migration has significantly shaped my identity as a global citizen and as both the product and agent of cultural globalization. With migration comes not only the transfer of people, but also the transfer of language, traditions, and food. All these aspects come together to shape cultures and communities that can form a sense of cultural belonging. Between my 2 families, there are 2 different sets of culture, different traditions, languages, and especially foods. In 2010, Inglis discussed the power and place of food in our globalizing world. He said that food today is structured by both globalizing and localizing social, political, economic, and cultural forces, but is also a symbol of these forces that expresses their struggles. To me, food and the traditions surrounding it are symbolic of my cultural hybridity and the role of my cultural heritage in shaping my identity as a global agent today. Christmas is a tradition celebrated between both sides of my family, but the traditions growing up were vastly different. On my mum's side, Christmas dinner always took place on Christmas Eve. Hours of food prep took place, everyone bringing a different dish to share. My auntie would bring out her nice cutlery, glasses, and plates. Down the table we had full dishes of tabbouleh, kafta, chicken kebabs, falafel with bowls of garlic, hummus, and baba ganoush. My favourite, however, was my uncle's homemade knefe, a sweet cheese dessert. On my dad's side, it was a different experience. Christmas lunch had the turkey and my dad's Christmas ham, pasta salads, and the classic bangers and mash. My grandma would bring down the Christmas pudding that had been hanging in the corner of her room for weeks, everyone hoping to find the penny in their pieces. And whilst experiencing such a contrast of cultures within the same 24 hours, it was a tradition for my family. The hybridity of these 2 cultures in my day-to-day life has allowed me to develop different variations of cultural belonging and my identity that is open to other cultures. Now, outside of my family's cuisine, my friends and I often share experiences over food. My enjoyment of all different cuisines from Thai, Indian, Italian, and American-style burgers show not only the product of cultural globalization in bringing numerous international cuisines into one country, but also shows the agency of global citizens like me whose diverse cultural belonging leads to a shared and appreciation of all cultures. Analysis into the nature and effects of cultural globalization often brings attention to issues of social justice that are still ever present in our globally integrated society, such as the disparity between core and minority groups. Despite Australia being a highly diverse country built upon migration, residual imperialism from our colonial past still leads to a disparity amongst cultures today. As a product of cultural hybridity, My understanding of different cultures and migrations shaped from my family's experiences allow me to become an agent of social awareness and justice. This has shaped my identity from my everyday actions to my choice of studies at university. Crane 2011 interprets this as Hanau's philosophy of cosmopolitanism. This is the idea that all human beings should be seen as members of the same community. Hanau distinguishes cosmopolitans to be more open to cultural diversity and more willing to experience and learn about unfamiliar cultures. My role as a cosmopolitan citizen and an agent of cultural globalization allows me to formulate an understanding and standpoint into political debates and social movements surrounding cultural diversity and equality. Social movements emerging from cultural globalization are often charged through the modes of media, technology, and the network society. Castell's theory of the network society is not geographically bound, rather powered by information and communication technology such as social media. This kind of society is said to lead to a more connected, productive, accepting, and open-minded global society. Social media is another aspect of cultural globalization that distinguishes my identity and shapes me as an agent of cultural globalization. Flesch's 2014 discussion on social movements and information and communication technologies states that the globalization of mass media has radically transformed the nature of contemporary politics, including social movements. My social media presence allows me to contribute to the global social movements as well as keeping me informed on global issues. Within the network society, identities thrive as a power embodied and carried by a variety of social movements, some of which are national and global. As a global cosmopolitan citizen and a product of cultural hybridity, my identity in the network society reflects my openness and belonging in various cultural communities that has led to a participation in social movements carried around the globe. In all, the globalizing processes of my family's migration has ultimately led to the cultural hybridity of my identity that has led to my role as a product and agent of cultural globalization in this global society. Furthermore, the aspects of food and technology have strengthened my role as a cosmopolitan citizen who, through experiences of different culture in the day-to-day, is open and understanding of all cultures around the globe. Living in Australia, a highly diverse and multicultural country, as well as the global interconnectedness of social media, has and will continue to develop my experiences with other cultures and my passion for cultural equality.